Hey guys, how's it going? So I'm really excited to make this video because it's actually a very popular topic amongst many recovery groups. So it is suggested that you wait 1 year, at least 1 year, before entering a new relationship or even having sexual relations with somebody else. And many wonder why that is. And I could go very deep into the psychological, the emotional, the spiritual aspects of this, but for the sake of time, I'm going to try and keep this as simple as possible. So when you're newly sober, you're coming out of this self-destructive and reckless programming. I really don't think that it matters what your drug of choice was in your active addiction. I think it's still pretty safe to say that sex and toxic relationships were a major factor in how we coped with our disease. Now I could also go into how loneliness plays a part, but I think I kind of want to make that into its own video, so I'm going to try and refrain from talking about the loneliness aspect, even though it is kind of an important part. And again, in an effort to try and keep this as simple as possible, I'm only going to be speaking of my own personal experience with abstaining from sex and relationships for that 1 year, because for me it did work. When I was newly sober, I was determined to make that first year really about my wellness and getting better. Not only did I want to survive this, but I wanted something more. I wanted a better life, a beautiful life. So I took all the suggestions that were given to me by various recovery groups, and one of the main suggestions were to abstain from sex and relationships for that 1 year. Now, I had already been talking to someone on and off, someone who I've had a crush on for years. However, they lived on the other side of the state, so meeting up was kind of a challenge. I was so smitten by this person. We had even made plans to meet up in Austin, Texas, and spend a weekend together. Now, keep in mind, I was still under a year in my sobriety, and the more I was thinking about a chance to be in a relationship and even making the financial commitment to travel, I became more aware that I was focusing more on this person than I was focusing on my own recovery and my sobriety. I was more focused on that than focused on the things that I needed to do to stay sober. And so I finally understood it. And so I did what was necessary for my recovery, and I knew I couldn't go forward with the relationship knowing that I had so much more work to do in my own self. I really had to get a pretty good understanding of my own feelings, my own emotions, and what I needed for myself. So the timing was off, but eventually it did work out in the end. Now, when it came to sex, I took the same suggestion of abstaining from that for a year. I really took that time to figure out what sex meant to me and what sex meant in relation to the disease. Because active addiction and sex go hand in hand with me. I had used it as a coping mechanism for my addiction, as well as weaponized it even. So I had to really rebuild a new relationship with sex and who I shared my body with. So it's pretty easy to see why sex and dating can be such huge triggers for those trying to get sober. These things take out so many people in our community, and we really need to kind of step back and start creating healthier boundaries with ourselves and other people when it comes to this. Ultimately, your recovery and your journey is something very personal to you, and the choices, the decisions you make are entirely up to you. For me, this is the route I took, and it worked out well for me. But who's to say that that same journey is not gonna work the same for somebody else? I hope this video was a little bit of value to you. This is a topic that I really could go on and on and on with, and I welcome any discussion. So if you have any questions questions regarding this, feel free to ask away, and I would love to have other people's opinions on this topic. I may even turn this into a huge series because I only touched on the very, very basic nature of this topic, and there's so much more that goes into this. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.